Enjoy your home for the holidays with store-wide savings at Room to Room. 50% off, 48-month special financing, and as our gift to you, a free accessory buyer's card. There's something here for everyone, including gift cards. Merry Christmas from Room to Room Tupelo.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Well, temperatures heading in the right direction, heading into our Wednesday forecast. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather. I'm meteorologist Gabe, and again, we are looking at that gradual warming trend, but also looking at the limited chance for some showers as we get into our Wednesday. So welcome in here to the Room to Room Weather Center. Again, those headlines tonight, limited rainfall tomorrow, but better chances moving in by Thursday. This is a result of a frontal system that's going to swing through the region, give us those elevated rain chances, but also give us a little bit of a cool down heading into our Friday. So enjoy this warmer weather while it's here. Sunshine by the end of the week paired with those cooler temperatures, but hear me when I say those cold temperatures will not last for long. It's not going to be like what we had for the start of the week. Things are definitely trending in the right direction. The first 12, getting a look at those rain chances. 11 p.m. still dry, 40 degrees right now. But as we get into those early a.m. hours, we're talking around 5 a.m., 10% chances in the forecast, upping to about 20% during that morning commute, about 6, 7, and 8 o'clock. 39 degrees, though, really going to be mid to upper 30s heading out the door tomorrow morning. So yeah, not below freezing. That's the big headline tonight. So excited to finally get some of those. I know mid-30s are not warm, but we're calling them warmer conditions heading into that extended forecast. Batesville tonight, 37 degrees. Dew point still pretty low, so that dry air is something that the atmosphere has to overcome if we're going to get any of those rain chances. We do expect at least a few showers, but coverage going to be a little bit more diminished than what forecast models are showing. We'll look at that here in just a moment. Out in Pontotoc, 43 degrees. Still those dew points in the mid-20s, so those dew points need to climb if we're going to get any chance of those showers as we work into our Wednesday forecast. As we get into our last camera there in Macon, again, a beautiful night across the area. A little bit of those cirrus clouds showing up. Folks still traveling out and about. It's a beautiful night to be out in North Mississippi. Still cold enough to where you want to have those layers on standby just to keep you warm as you head about any of those evening plans. Looking at temperatures tonight, 38 Tupelo, 39 in Houston, 37 Columbus and Vernon. Aside from that, pretty much everyone else sitting in the low to mid 40s, so definitely feeling a little bit warmer. I know Matt would have appreciated these temperatures last night in Shannon. I mean, it was a frigid forecast down there, but still a great time. And I know it was a great time for all of those residents down there in Shannon. Feels like values are wind chill values, still factoring in a few degrees difference. We're talking feels like values around 34 Tupelo and Amory, so bumping it down about 4 or 5 degrees. 36 Senatobia and 39 in Cleveland. So as you head out and about, those breezy conditions work their way in. That's where I think the forecast gets a little bit more unbearable. Luckily, temperatures are a little bit warmer, but when we were talking earlier on this weekend and they were in the 20s, those winds factored in, those feels like values got into the low teens, upper single digits. I mean, yeah, it's unbearable. And I definitely do not want to be outside whenever it's those feels like values right around freezing. So tonight, make sure to bundle up and enjoy a great night in your warm home. Our Mississippi Live weather radar staying on the drier side, not really seeing much in the form of cloud cover either. But if we circulate this back over the last several hours, you can see that this has been a very dry evening. A lot of that shower activity out there in Little Rock continuing to increase in coverage just a bit. I mean, still starting to form just a bit over the top of Little Rock, moving up I-40 towards the Memphis area, giving us a few showers by the early a.m. hours of our Wednesday. But even then, we're not expecting anything overly significant. Rainfall totals over the past 24 hours, we talked about it, not a drop here in North Mississippi, but if we expand this out, you can see that we do have trace amounts of rainfall out here in the western Arkansas area, but gradually working its way east into eastern Arkansas and western Mississippi. So this is that main focal point that we are watching for those showers to start to develop just a bit more. And let's get a better look at that whenever we're talking about that surface analysis. So as you take a look right there, I mean, this is the coverage we're talking about. I feel like we're hyping up something that is not really anything to hype up about. A lot of those showers going to remain non-significant, and what little moisture we do get only amounting to few hundredths, maybe, if we're lucky, 1/10 of an inch, and that's what we expect even as those showers work their way into northwest Mississippi and for folks along the Mississippi River as well. So let's get into Futurecast just a bit, and you can kind of see how that coverage becomes a little bit more significant up north there towards Jonesboro. Some of this on the south side towards Dumas, Arkansas. That's going to be where we get a little bit of those moderate rainfall, but again, hesitant when I say that because I'm not really expecting anything too significant just because of how dry that atmosphere is. As that works its way through Tunica County into Tate and DeSoto County, sitting there in Marshall County by 6 a.m., you can see those yellows showing up. That's where I would expect some of those more significant outputs, still only about 1/10 of an inch, to be produced, and that's still going to be that far northwest side of our viewing area. So have that rain gear ready if you're over there around Senatobia or Tunica or West Helena, as that's what we're going to be walking through in that forecast towards our early morning commute on our Wednesday. Not an impossibility to get some of these showers working east there along Highway 30, but again, those chances still very minimal, going to remain very isolated in coverage. And as we work our way throughout the morning, more of those chances are possible, but a lot of this green, not really having a firm belief in just because of how dry that atmosphere is. We're talking mid to upper 20s right now in dew points. That's not enough to sustain these. We need that moisture to work its way back into the forecast if we're going to get anything decent out of these showers. But even then, I'm not expecting but a few hundredths up to 1/10 of an inch as these work their way through North Mississippi. Even by those afternoon hours, better chances down south there towards Monroe, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name in Louisiana, Mansfield and Shreveport, but those gradually working their way into the forecast. This is all some of that prefrontal development before that main system gets here on our Thursday. So limited in fashion throughout the day, extended some of those rain chances into the afternoon forecast, but even then, 10%, yeah, not anything too significant. So that's a big story with these rain chances. Not going to be an impactful forecast. But temperature-wise, 36 degrees heading out the door for our Wednesday morning, climbing to the mid-50s by 3 p.m. Last week of school for some folks out there. Just what exactly does this time out for that school day forecast, as well as your Thursday forecast. More impactful rain chances as we get into that extended outlook. We'll have a full breakdown of that coming up here from the Room to Room Weather Center, live from Mississippi Live Weather at 10, here in the next 60.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
If you're a family of 4, 5,
or 6, 7,
Merry Christmas
from
Mississippi Live Weather.
That was good.
I think that was the one.
Okay.
There we go.
oh, you guys didn't do it.
No, we didn't.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Beautiful sights outside tonight, brought to you by the North Mississippi Storm Chaser cameras. 37 degrees in Crenshaw, still with those dry conditions, and that dry forecast is what we're watching heading into those overnight hours for how long it takes for that moisture to return, and that'll make way for some limited chances of rainfall by the time we get into our Wednesday morning. Golly, we're already in the midweek portion of the week. Time is flying. 43 degrees in Tupelo. Again, a big thank you to the Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling folks for sponsoring this camera for us. Still getting a good look there in Lee County. 43 degrees right now, and still battling that uphill battle of that dry air. Dry air continuing to be in place overnight, but we are expecting it to clear on out, or at least get a little bit more saturated towards those early AM hours. West Point following suit. You can already see a little bit of that cloud cover there in the distance, just kind of moving into our sky, becoming a little bit more dense, and that's going to make way for that moisture return as well. Let's get a look there on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, and as you can see, it is just a dry pattern over the top of us, but still a cold forecast. Not as cold as things have been, but we're still cooling off into those overnight hours thanks to it's mostly clear skies allowing for that heat to escape. 40 degrees Aberdeen, 42 Eupora, and 41 around Cleveland. We're seeing 43 Hernando, Oxford, Boonville. So still cold, but relatively speaking, a little bit warmer than where things have sat. As we expand things out, you can see that warmer air continuing to build in there towards Shreveport, Dallas, and San Antonio. Low to mid 50s. Yeah, we would take that at 10 o'clock at night any day of the week, and we will at some point get to enjoy that. Fortunately, that is a great sign of things to come. As you can see, that subtle difference, I say subtle, major difference whenever we're talking the past 24 hours. 17 degrees warmer in Tupelo from this time 24 hours ago. Jackson 18 degrees, Shreveport 17, Dallas 14. And again, this warmer air in eastern Texas will progress into the Magnolia State, making for even warmer temperatures by the time we get into our Wednesday, Thursday. Brief break on Friday before they warm back up by the weekend. We'll again break that down here in just a moment. But this is again the big story. And as you can see, still a very dry pattern over the top of us as a lot of that moisture still resides out there towards the Gulf Coast region. So as you can see, that moisture building in there towards East Texas, and that's where we'd expect a little bit more of those showers to develop. I mean, we're getting a little bit of activity in Little Rock, but even those dew points slightly higher than what we're getting here in Tupelo. So that subtle moisture return, that's what we're watching overnight for the potential of some of those rain chances overnight. But 45 Shreveport to 28 in Tupelo, yeah, that's a difference for sure. So we're still watching for that chance of some of this moisture working its way north, and that'll again get into Mississippi as well with some better chances here in northern Louisiana, but then those will work their way into North Mississippi by the time we get into that afternoon pattern. So continuing to watch this behind the scenes, and we are hopeful for at least a few of those chances as we get into our Wednesday. Taking a look at those limited chances, 10% by 3, 20% by 6. So this is not going to be significant coverage, and what little rainfall we do get is going to remain light to potentially moderate. I'm not even sold on the moderate output just because of how dry that forecast is. This is a very, very much an uphill battle. So future casters will look at your midnight hour, and as you can see, a lot of that activity still out there towards Arkansas, well into the Little Rock area, lining up pretty well with our HRRR model. Let's carry this out into those overnight hours, and by the time we get towards that 1 and 2 a.m. time frame into DeSoto, Tate, and Tunica County, so that's going to be where we expect the first developments to happen. Cleveland, limited coverage as well there, working our way into the southwest portion of our viewing area, but the Mississippi River continues to be the focal point for a lot of these showers, or should I say west of I-55. 4 a.m., more significant batches of moisture moving into West Helena and Clarksdale, gradually building across the river and then into DeSoto, Tate, and Marshall County. So that's that first major output of rainfall, and even then the reason why I'm doing quotes is because major is not really the word for it, but it would be our highest output with the system, amounting to about 1/10 of an inch. Then we get more development on the south side, and we'll get to that here in just a moment, but that's going to be those secondary chances working our way into that early to mid-morning commute. Low temperatures for your Wednesday: 35 degrees Vernon, 37 Houston, 39 Oxford, and 41 around Clarksdale. Factoring in some of that wind chill, not going to be too much of a difference because it's not going to be as breezy as things have been the past couple of days. So like I said, if it's cold but not breezy, I call that a bearable forecast. But if it's cold and breezy, yeah, that's a forecast I want to stay indoors for. Looking at that school bus forecast, not going to be too shabby compared to the past couple of days, but still layer up as you head to the bus stop. 36 degrees around pickup there at the bus stop, 56 towards drop-off. The morning starting off with 20% chances. By drop-off, we're hopeful that things will be drying up just a bit, so we'll get a little bit of a break for any of those afternoon plans. But I have to expand things out to show you what exactly is moving through the area, and I'm going to go on the large scale here because what we're watching is this frontal system all the way up there into the Billings, Montana area, and that gradually working its way through the forecast and going to impact our area by the time we get into Thursday. So bringing it back in here to North Mississippi, you can see that we have basically this moisture that's building in from an upper level disturbance for sure, but we're also getting this moisture return from a high pressure system out towards our east, and that southerly wind building back that moisture and giving us the potential for some of those developing showers. So by the time we get into our mid-morning forecast, you can see that some of that coverage is a little bit more intense out there towards Clarksdale and West Helena, around Panola County and Lafayette County, but those showers gradually working their way northeast with more chances further south right along I-55 there by 10:30 on your Wednesday. Now limited chances still in place by the time we get towards noontime into the northeast portion of our viewing area, so Prentiss, Alcorn, Tippah, and Tishomingo County expecting those showers. And as we get into that mid-afternoon forecast, things are definitely trending in the right direction. A lot of those rain chances tapering off and leaving us with those mostly dry conditions. Now, cloud cover still going to be blanketing the majority of our sky, but we do expect that those rain chances will be even more minimal than where the morning sat. So we're hopeful that that dry forecast will persist into any of those afternoon plans. But we don't expect it to stick around forever. As we get into our 6 o'clock forecast on your Wednesday, you can see that moisture back into the forecast. And if I expand things out, you can see that that front is not too far away. Still sticking around Omaha and Colorado. That working its way southeast and expected to impact our forecast come Thursday. We'll break that down here in just a moment. Let's bring it back in here to North Mississippi. As you can see, high temperatures Wednesday looking phenomenal. Take a look at those temperatures. 56 in Tupelo, 53 in Booneville, 57 Water Valley, and 56 around Clarksdale. If we jump further south, we're 60 Greenwood, Grenada, Eupora, 58 Starkville, and 60 around Louisville. So we'll take it for sure. Finally feeling how it should this time of year, and we have no complaints with that forecast. If we expand this out here just a bit, we can see how that front progresses into North Mississippi. So I'm going to have it more on an expanded outlook, but you can see that we are still dealing with limited showers even into those overnight hours on our Thursday. But as Matt was mentioning, this is the latest version of our HRRR model, which is basically some of our short-range, high-resolution models. So we a little bit more trustworthy when it comes to the breakdown of the timing. And as you take a look right here, isolated chances for that midnight to 3 a.m. time frame, and even lingering into that 6 a.m. commute. So for folks heading out and about, folks wrapping up the school week, my wife is explaining the exemption policy for exams, and some folks not having to go to school anymore this week, others still having to go to school to finish up those final exams. So whichever boat you're in, it's going to be dealing with some light showers. So if you have morning plans, whether that's school or not, make sure to have that umbrella on standby. Now those chances still very limited, very isolated, and very light. So we're not going to be in a high impact forecast. But if we move more into that mid-morning to late morning and early afternoon, you can see this line of showers and storms that do develop towards Jackson, Tennessee, Murray, Tennessee, and Bowling Green, Kentucky. Now this area from Jackson, Tennessee, well up there towards the Lexington area, you can see that that's an area of more of a focal point because of the development of some of those stronger winds on that leading edge right there. Whenever we get down into North Mississippi, I'm not overly impressed with this forcing that would allow some of those winds to be on the stronger side. I think a few rumbles of thunder is not an impossibility, but we're not talking about strong storms. So that's why that threat still remains further north into Tennessee and Kentucky, leaving us with just those showers and maybe some stormy conditions at times. Now, as we get into our 3 o'clock hour, some of the things that do stand out to me is the fact that we do have some of these showers and storms that do try to get on the stronger side. So I'm not ruling out 30 to 40 mile an hour gust on some of these storms, but even then I'm not overly sold with the environment of the wind and that profile that we see that it's going to be producing anything severe. I think we remain sub-severe with this setup, and the more strong supporting winds are going to be up towards Tennessee and Kentucky, leaving us with this calmer setup with just a dreary day. So 3 p.m., that's where that front's moving right over the top of us. And as you can see, that's where that line of showers and storms continues to move right on through Russellville, Alabama, Florence, Alabama by 3 p.m., and then Monroe County there in Amory, Mississippi by 3 p.m. as well. So as of right now, not in that severe weather threat, and I don't really expect us to move into one as we get into those overnight hours. But as we move more into our Thursday night, you can see more of these storms do get a bit more impressive as they work their way into Montgomery, Alabama, Sylacauga, Alabama, and over there by Gadsden, over there by the parents of the Maynard household. So definitely going to be keeping eyes on that for them. But even then, it's just the atmosphere is not exactly prime because the dew points aren't really high. It's just not exactly an atmosphere that's primed to produce anything too severe. So I do think that we remain sub-severe throughout this entire setup. 6 p.m. on your Thursday, that front right over the top of us, and you can see that transition drastically changing with those northwesterly winds moving back into the forecast. And you know what that means? Cold temperatures, dry conditions, and that's going to be your Friday forecast. So hope you're ready for it. Hope you're ready for that cold weather to return. The fortunate thing is it doesn't last for long, and we'll look at that in just a moment. High temperatures on Thursday, though, depending on where those showers do set up, I do think that we get some of that rain-cooled air, but in its entirety, we're talking low to mid-60s for some of those mostly dry locations. 65 in Bruce, 66 Greenwood, 67 Belzona, 61 Holly Springs, and even 60 up and around Corinth and Booneville. So folks up there, pretty happy that they're back into the 60s, but we're really just excited to be warming things up here in North Mississippi after a cold start to this week. As I mentioned, that severe weather risk right along the Tennessee state line. I do expect this to be modified as we head overnight based off of the latest run of that HRRR model. Wouldn't be surprised if we had a few of our Alabama counties included within that, just because that profile gets a little bit more enhanced as it works its way into Montgomery and Birmingham, Alabama. But I do expect that atmosphere to be a little bit more prime further further towards the north just because of those wind profiles. Again, not impressive here in North Mississippi. I don't expect this to move any further south into our area, maybe to encompass a few of those northerly counties, but even by then, I'm not overly sold on that forecast. So as we look at that expanded outlook, Kentucky, Tennessee, still the main focal points with this setup as we work into those overnight hours, but just not overly impressed with this setup. It's a late winter setup, so that's where we're going to err on the side of caution, but definitely optimistic with where things sit right now that we may stay avoiding that severe weather threshold. Our forecasted rainfall totals anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch as some of those heavier sections work their way through North Mississippi. So that's a good thing with this forecast, hopefully alleviating a little bit of that drought that we are still currently under in North Mississippi. That 40% chance of rainfall is going to be primarily mid to late afternoon on your Thursday, those working their way out, and then Friday, beautiful blue skies with those colder temperatures, 32 degrees, that freezing point right at the start of the forecast, 48 by the afternoon. Saturday still at freezing for the start of the day, but by the time we get towards kickoff of the Ole Miss versus Tulane game, I think we're sitting pretty with temperatures in the low 60s. Now rain chances do return by Sunday, scattered in fashion, and then more isolated for the start of next week. So rain chances, very limited, but we do expect that more significant day is going to be Thursday, as the highest output of rainfall is going to be around that time. But even then, we're all looking at that severe weather outlook, and I do not expect us to be in that based off what we're assessing right now. Our meteorologist, Maggie McCauley, will again be tracking this during your morning, Monday, oh my word. Let's not go back in time. Your Wednesday morning broadcast, so make sure to stay tuned here to Mississippi Live Weather. I'm looking in the chat to make sure I'm not missing anything. Merry Christmas to everybody in the chat. Again, we'll have a look at that Christmas outlook coming up during your forecast tomorrow, but it is looking like a warmer one. So White Christmas, I think, is not going to be 2025's luck. So I think we're going to stay dry, but stay warm. Don't forget the storms. Yes. So it is going to be a stormy forecast heading into your Thursday. But even before then, isolated showers on your Wednesday. I would go ahead and put the umbrella in the back seat of the car just to be on the safe side. But impact's going to be very limited for your Wednesday. Our next broadcast, I mentioned it just a moment ago, 6:37 and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley. And we will be back at 5, 6, and 10 on your Wednesday, walking you through the latest on those storm chances on Thursday and that extended outlook into your college football playoff. Friday and Saturday, we'll have a latest look at that coming up here from the Room Term Weather Center for Mississippi Live Weather on your Wednesday.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.